Packers technically at the Eagles, but this game's out of town, if I'm not mistaken. Sao Paulo. Okay. So, out of town international game, Packers versus the Eagles. Totals at about 48.5. Eagles are favored by 2.5. The hype has been unreal for the Packers and Jordan Love. The hype has been absolutely absurd, and rightfully so. I think their performance last year, especially against the Cowboys in that playoff game, has warranted them to come in here with some hype. I think that Jordan Love is going to elevate his game. It's going to elevate the Packers, and I think they have a lot to be excited about. But I do not want people to think that the version of the Eagles that they saw last year is going to be the version of the Eagles that they see this year. They brought in Kellen Moore. They're going to stretch the field vertically. Jalen Hurts is going to excel as a passer. Devontae and A.J. Brown are healthy. They brought in Saquon Barkley. I don't think people realize how successful this offense is going to be and how consistent they're going to be week in and week out. It will not be like they did last year. It will be immensely better. The talent that they have, and now with the tactical play calling that Kellen Moore has, a lot of people will, rebuke me on that. But I think Kellen Moore has more been a woe to his circumstances more than anything, being with the Cowboys, who often show malpractice in both, team and administration. But the Chargers as well, that was just poor coaching by Brandon Staley. Just tough situation for them. I really do think the Eagles are going to be phenomenal this year on the offensive side of the ball. A better product than we've seen over the past 2 years, for sure. So, with that being said, Beach, before I get into any of the numbers and what the projections have to say and all of that, what's your gut feeling for this game? International game. You always have interesting takes about the international games. So, let me hear it. Who you got for this game and why?
The international games means there's no home field advantage. That's all I have to say. And I want to just point out that all lines are favored towards whoever is the air quotes home team. Okay. At least in my opinion. I don't know if they adjusted or not, but I think you're right. I think the Eagles are going to be spectacular this year. It's going to be really fun to watch. A lot of points put up. But I mean, who doesn't love a young, dumb quarterback with a forward projecting offense going to Sao Paulo, who's just going to sling the tater all across the field? I mean, I don't think it's going to be like the Cowboys game in the playoffs last year, but I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. However, I do take the Packers to cover the 2.5 or 3, whatever it is. I don't know what it is exactly right now, but I like the Packers as the underdog in this game, and I'm going to call you out on this because you talked very highly of the Packers, and we got to back it up if we talk about how highly about them like that. So I'm going to take the Packers in this game to cover the 2.5.
I know, and it's tough. We just filmed our NFC North show, and we talked so highly. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of my bold predictions was the Packers wins that division.
You said 12 games? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 11 or 12 games. It's just tough. I know. But the Eagles are one of 3 teams that I think are just inherently better than the Packers from a roster perspective and an X's and O's perspective. I already talked about Kellen Moore, but they also brought in Vic Fangio. So the numbers, statistically speaking, the defense did not do well last year. Not at all. In fact, they were really a bottom teams in terms of EPA per play allowed and a couple other advanced metrics that really showed their poor performance. But again, I think this team was just all out of whack. Huge locker room problems. It seems like more of a culture issue than anything. But let's not forget the guys that they do have on the defense. They have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, and then Byron Young now on the other side of the ball. They still have Josh Sweat on the defensive line. They brought in Devin White. They have Nakobe Dean. They have Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell, and now Kaylee Ringo at corner.
Kobe DeJean.
Yeah, and then, of course, they have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, and Avonte Maddox at the safety.
The defense is sick.
The defense is phenomenal. And the offense is statistically, even though they did poor last year, they brought in Vic Fangio. And remember what Vic Fangio did to the Dolphins defense just a few short years ago. It was insane. So I think that they did what they needed to do from a coaching perspective. They brought in the guys. They already have the roster and the talent. I mean, this team is phenomenal. And look at their pass catchers alone. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson now, Dallas Goedert now. So this team, and then, of course, we already talked about Saquon Barkley. The model has this game as really a pick even, like 21-21. This game, I think the Eagles are going to come out and make a statement win, and it's going to jar the Packers up a little bit. They had some hype. I think they're going to come in maybe chest all big. I think the Eagles are going to win, and I think they're going to win by a touchdown. I really do think that.
I think this needs to be the first beer bet of the year.
Beer bet, Eagles. Let's do it on the board. Put it on the board. Gosh, not even 2 games in, and we already have a beer bet.
I was just looking at them all,
Phenomenal.
and it has to be that one. There won't be a better one.
Feels good. I already said a lot of great things about the Packers. I think they're young talent at wide receiver and at tight end. And then especially they brought in Josh Jacobs. He's going to be an absolute bell cow for this team. Their team is going to be great. But I think so highly of the Eagles this year that I have to take the Eagles, and I have to take them at 2.5 where I can get them. So I'm going to read off some numbers really quick and then rebuke me if you have any more rebuttals. 74% of the tickets are on the Packers, but only 39% of the money is on the Packers. So there's kind of a heavy bag towards the Eagles. It looks like 61% of the total money has been on the Eagles. So again, we talk about the beginning of the season. There's really no rhyme or reason to the beginning of the season. There's no data. There's no feel for, we haven't seen any of these teams play
no
yet.
Momentum,
so it's like
nothing.
We go off our intuition and based off of kind of what we saw last year. So that's it.
Yeah.
So fun stuff. Any rebukes before we go to the next game?
No, I just, no one can tell me that I'm wrong until I am. So because there's, so keep the comments down, okay? Please.
Yeah.